talking about Dewey here and all the olives and the olive trees. And Dewey grew up among the olive groves, and he attended what else but Cal Poly? I would imagine that anybody that knows ag and knows Cal Poly received a degree in mechanical engineering. He started in the engineering field, was in the tech job, and then he sat down with the family, decided to take a risk and start producing the family's extra virgin olive oil on a large scale. It's became a passion, a love affair, and today the company continues to grow and has won more acclaim for its extra virgin olive oil than any other producer in North America, with over 150 awards. Ladies and gentlemen, Dewey Lucero, Lucero Olive Oil.
Wow, right on. Thank you. I like that, a passionate love affair. My name is Dewey Lucero. I'm the founder and owner of Lucero Olive Oil. We're located in Corning, which is 2 hours north of Sacramento, small little town, but lots and lots of olives. We're really the olive capital of the world up there. So I have a few slides I'm going to take you guys through so you can see some pictures. And we'll get going here on the first one. As I just mentioned, we donate 250 gallons of olive oil for Garlic Alley. And all the food that you guys are going to have today is using our olive oil. And who's seen all the flame ups, or any of the flame ups yet? All those flame ups, I like to say, powered by Lucero Olive Oil. The other cool thing that we do is we designed a specific set of bottles, olive oil, for the Gilroy Garlic Festival that we bottle for them with their label. And that picture is up there. So we do their Gilroy garlic olive oil, Italian garlic, chili garlic, and a chipotle chili olive oil. So if you guys would like to try them out, go to the mercantile stores, and you'll see those in each one of them today. And that's, again, a Lucero product with their label on it. All right, we'll go to the next one. Just real quick about Lucero Olive Oil. I started the company in 2005, but as you heard, my family on both sides has been producing and growing olives for a long, long time. And on my mom's side, my grandpa Pete has been going, it goes back 4 generations, but 65 years growing olives, all for table olives. And then on my dad's side is where the olive oil comes in, but he also grew for table olives as well, and that was 3 generations on my dad's side. So between the two of them, and that was 50 years, so it's 115 years of growing olives. Lucero Olive Oil, we have our mill in Corning, so we grow and produce a lot of our own fruit. We buy from growers around the area, and everything comes from a 10-mile radius, so you know that it's fresh, local product. We have our own tasting room, so if you happen to stop by, we can give you a tour of our facility, and you can come into our tasting room. We have 9 extra virgin olive oils. We have 8 flavored olive oils and 12 balsamic vinegars, and most of those are all over in our booth tent that we have here today. And if you guys want to try that out today and you have time, it's on the north side of the festival by the north entrance. We're the most awarded olive oil in North America. We got started early. The industry is very young in California. It's only about 14 years old, and I've been doing this for almost 8 years now. So we've done quite well for ourselves. And again, just real quick, I like to mention anybody from Cal Poly out there. I noticed that we had some over here. Over there. I graduated from Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, with a degree in mechanical engineering. And a lot of people ask, well, engineering to olive oil, that's a drastic change. And the reason that came about is I actually went into engineering right out of college. My wife and I moved to the Sacramento area. I live in Rockland. And I lost my job. And had I not lost my job, I would have never started the olive oil company. So something very bad turned into something very good. All right, so a little bit about the story. The 3 and 4 generations, this is my grandpa Tony on the left and grandpa Pete on the right. So olive oil and olives has just been entrenched in my blood my whole life. And again, it all started out with table olives, and then I came along and started the olive oil. In the 4th generation, here, my son is 10 years old. His name is Hunter. He's on the next slide here. There he is. There's my dad in the middle, my grandpa on the left there. And my dad was down on Friday. We did some of the family recipes and cooked up here in front. All right, so now getting into the olives and olive oil. I like showing this next picture because it shows big, gigantic olive tree here on the right. And that's a tree that's about 100 to 110 years old. And some of the oldest olive trees are right here in California. California has a great Mediterranean climate. Not too many other places in the United States can you grow olives. They like warm weather, especially in the summer. Like Corning, we had one day so far this year that's been up to 114. It gets really, really warm. We had 10 days in a row where it was over 100. So the new style of planting is called super high density, SHD, and it's that lower picture down there where it shows all these small trees and hedgerows. And what that has allowed us to do in the last 14 years is produce olive oil at an affordable price, because on these big trees, it's all hand harvested. So if you can imagine, all these guys out there on ladders, picking in trees, all hand harvested fruit. And in fact, all table olives, so that the fruit isn't bruised, is all picked by hand. Can you imagine that? Millions and millions of little olives all picked by hand. And what the super high density has allowed us to do is harvest these olives by mechanical means. And that lowers our costs. Instead of hundreds of guys out in the orchard, you just have one, and it's very, very quick. These trees are specific trees. They're dwarf trees. They only grow to be about 14 feet tall so that a machine can drive over the top of them and harvest them. And it's the same type of machine that grape harvesters are like a grape harvester that they use in the wine industry. All right, we'll go to the next slide here. We always get this question, and I think it surprises people. This is a 500 milliliter bottle that I'm holding up, which is a half a liter, and it takes 14 pounds of olives to make enough olive oil to fill this up. So the point is, that it takes a lot of olives to make a little bit of olive oil. So typically, we get about 35 gallons per ton. So for every 2,000 pounds of fruit that comes in, we get 35 gallons. And that's basic average across the whole United States. California, again, produces 90% of the United States oil. So just to give you a reference here, 4 tons of fruit per acre is what we get average. If you have 200 acres, which we have a 200-acre planting of the super high density, you get about 28,000 gallons. So half of our production comes from super high density. We produced about 45,000 gallons of olive oil total this year. And the very first year that I got started, I produced 2,000. So we've grown drastically. And what started off as a one-man show, me running around doing everything, now we have 30 employees. So going to the next slide here. I always like to put the word fresh up there, because that is what the key is about having good extra virgin olive oil when you're cooking. So we always promote that you get to know who's producing or growing your product. In this case, olive oil. You can come up, take a tour of our facility, and a lot of companies in California that are producing extra virgin olive oil now are inviting you into their facility too, so you can go and learn about the process, but also see how they make it. That way you know it is what they say it is. And UC Davis, they have the Olive Oil and Olive Center up there. They just produced a report a year and a half ago that showed it was all grocery store shelves. They went in and pulled bottles off, and they performed tests on the olive oil. They showed that 68% of the olive oil on shelves that was labeled extra virgin wasn't extra virgin. So it either didn't pass sensory test, people tasting it, or it didn't pass lab tests. So those are the two ways that we can look at olive oil and decide if it meets the standards. And 68%, so almost 70% of the olive oil out there that was labeled extra virgin didn't meet the standard. So that's why you have to be careful. You have to look at your labeling. You have to consider who's making that. Is it imported? Is it local? Do I know the person who's making it? And that's what we promote. That's why fresh is so important. The other thing is you want to buy it as close to the harvest date as possible, and on the back of all of our bottles, we put the harvest date, and you want to look at that on all the bottles that you're purchasing. Most California olive oil companies do that because we turn over olive oil pretty quickly. Consumption, you want to consume your oil within 1 year of the harvest date, so that's why we put the harvest date on the back, and that's just going to make the olive oil much better quality, taste better, and you want your food to taste good, right? So that's what you are shooting for, is buying good olive oil to make your food taste good. The 3 things that damage the oil are light, heat, and oxygen. So I always tell people, keep it away from your oven, keep it up in a cupboard, don't put it in your window where it's going to receive direct sunlight. I used to do clear bottles, and a lot of ladies like to put them in their window because they look pretty, and I always told them, no, don't do that, because that can ruin your olive oil really quickly. So one of the ways that you can know that the olive oil is good is look for the seal, which is on the next slide here. The California Olive Oil Council seal, and that's on the back of all of our bottles, but also everybody in California who produces oil certifies their olive oil through this company or through this group. And so you want to look for this seal on the back of your olive oil because it guarantees that what it says it is in fact 100%, in this case extra virgin olive oil. Look for seal. All right, so what is the definition of extra virgin olive oil? And at its simplest, it's no defects and tastes fresh and fruity. So if you have an olive oil that tastes like, has anybody had rancid peanuts and it tastes bad and it's sour? That's kind of how olive oil tastes when it's gone bad. And it won't hurt you, it just won't taste good. So it'll make your food obviously taste bad too. So taste fresh, fruity, and in our case it has the seal, and we've met certain standards and test results. So tasting extra virgin here on our next slide. This shows the 3 basic profiles. It's very simple: delicate, medium, and robust. A delicate oil is very buttery, smooth and light. A medium oil is more fruity. It has more flavors like an olive, it's sweet. And then robust is grassy, green, big pepper finish. And the pepper tingle that you get on the back of your throat if you taste olive oil straight, that's a good thing. Those are the polyphenols and antioxidants, and that's what makes olive oil good for you. So I always tell people, you always change the oil in your car so that it lasts longer. Well, olive oil does the same for your body, and you want to continually consume it so it makes you last longer. And that's the truth. It'll make you live longer too. All right, so a couple questions and answers here on the next slide. So we always have questions, well, why are there green olives and black olives when I open up a can or a jar? And first of all, I always tell people, you have to understand, all olives start green. They all start green. So when you pickle them, they have to be green, because if they start to turn red and purple and turn black on the tree, that means the oil content has gone up so far that you can't pickle them anymore. If the oil content is too high, once you pickle, it'll turn to mush in the jar. It'll actually, the olives will really degrade, fall apart, and fall to the bottom of the jar. So you have to start green. And people say, well, what about the black olives? Well, what they do is they put them in big vats, because olives are very bitter on the tree. Has anybody ever tasted an olive on the tree? They're very, very bitter, aren't they? Well, that's one of the jokes that we play in Corning. Is, oh, yeah, go up and try one of those olives on the tree. And they'll go up and pick one off and pop it in their mouth, and their face turns sour, eyes start to tear up. But once they sit in these vats of water, essentially, they're getting out all that tartness, but they bubble oxygen through it, and that's what turns the olives black. And then once you get an olive to that state, you can really make it taste any way that you want. So green olives will taste different from black olives, and that's typically man-made. So what color olive oil is the best? A lot of people think that a green olive oil versus a golden or a very light olive oil, there's going to be a quality difference and a taste difference. Well, there may be a taste difference, but quality, it's not a good determinant of quality. Olive oil can be green, it can be golden, it can be very light. So don't let that deter you. Why is extra virgin olive oil healthy? Again, it's the polyphenols, antioxidants. Antioxidants, as you probably know, run around your body and fight all the bad stuff, make you last longer. Storage of olive oil, again, keep it away from heat, out of the light, keep it in a cupboard. Dr. Oz, a while back, I think it was a couple months ago, said that you should put it in the fridge or test it to see if it's extra virgin by putting it in the fridge. Don't do that. That's a big no-no. And if you go to the UC Davis website, what happened is the representative from UC Davis was on the show that day when he said that, and then he broke to commercial, and he never let anybody come back and explain why that may not be a good idea to do that. So UC Davis went back, they performed the test, and then they said Dr. Oz debunked. It was kind of funny. It was a little bit of a joke, but it is the truth. Don't put your olive oil in the fridge. It'll solidify, and it'll go bad. And then again, one of the ways that you can tell if an olive oil has gone bad, it'll taste like rancid peanuts. So olive oil and food. Let's go to the next slide here. We all got to start with something in our pan, right, to cook. Or in the case of brownies, we have brownies up here. A lot of people use butter or these other oils. I won't even name the oils, but extra virgin olive oil is healthy, and it's a great alternative to that. So one of the conversion ratios I've memorized is for every 1 cup of butter, it takes 3/4 cup of olive oil as a replacement. And we show this picture of the brownies because these brownies were made with our chocolate olive oil. So we have extra virgin olive oil that we flavor with our chocolate olive oil. We also have garlic olive oil, of course, and that's one of the big sellers this weekend. But it's healthy. Again, you're getting your polyphenols and antioxidants, and in this case, the chocolate olive oil, extra flavor. So my family uses it for everything, the cooking, sauteing, baking, dipping, bread, salads, and all the cooking that they do every single day. My dad goes through a ton of olive oil. I can't believe it, but every month or so, I'll deliver a 2.5-gallon jug of olive oil to his house. and he uses it for every single thing, even baking bread and his homemade tortillas. So let's go to the next slide here. Because at the end of the day, what you're going for is good tasting food. And that's what the Gilroy Garlic Festival is all about. At least for us, when we come down, we look forward to the food. And what we do is we make good extra virgin olive oil, and that's what most California olive oil shoot for, to make your food taste better and increase your health. So let's go to the last slide here. So again, we're at the north end of Garlic Avenue, which is at the north entrance. We have all of our extra virgin olive oils. Again, we have 7 different ones here today. We have individual varietals. We have Escalano, which is from Italy, a Tuscan varietal. We have Mission, Manzanillo, which are Spanish varietals, and Arbequina, which is the new super high density varietal. So you can come and try all these. And it sounds interesting because they are from all over the world, but we grow them all from a 10-mile radius of our facility, crush them right there in Corning, in Northern California. And let's go to the last slide here. I was going to open it up. If you guys have any questions about olive oil, technical questions, or how it's produced, maybe how to use it, I can take a few questions and answer them. Yeah. The minced garlic? We do a garlic olive oil, and it's an infused garlic olive oil. And how long does it last? Well, the flavored olive oils will last much longer than your extra virgin olive oil because of the flavoring. So where you want to consume a fresh extra virgin olive oil, probably within a year of harvest, you could go a year and a half with your flavored olive oils. Any other questions? Yes. Using olive oil when barbecuing so you don't get flame ups. And one of the interesting things is that with extra virgin olive oil, when it's a good quality, you can go to very high temperatures because people worry about the smoke point of olive oil. And that's one thing that we've had to educate people is that you really don't need to worry about that, because the better quality oil you use, the higher the smoke point. So you can get really, really hot. And as you've seen, they have to get really, really hot to get the flame ups going over here in Garlic Alley. It's specifically using on the barbecue. I use it all the time because I don't want my meat to stick on the barbecue. So before I put the meat down, I'll cover it with olive oil. And I haven't had any problems yet. So it'll go up to 400, 500 degrees pretty easily. All right, one more question here. So the question was, can you flavor your own olive oil? And I have had a lot of people ask that because they want to flavor, say, garlic olive oil. And they'll get their garlic, mince it up, put it inside of a bottle. And that is really dangerous to do because you can get botulism through that. What happens is through oxygen and water, that's what creates a safe place for all these bad things to grow. And it'll grow inside the olive oil, and you would consume it, and that potentially could hurt you. So what I tell people is find an olive oil that's infused with garlic or even crushed with garlic naturally, and use that. Don't try putting your own in. If you do, use it very quickly within a day or two. Don't let it sit. All right, well, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Enjoy the olive oil, enjoy the food. And we'll get going with the next presentation.